She went to go put the kids down for a nap and go ahead and take advantage of a nap herself. The store was slow enough. He could manage it himself. And so she went to go lay down, but she couldn't sleep. She had this idea. It's 90 degrees outside in the middle of the summer. People who are driving across the highway, but people driving through the highway in the 1930s, they don't really have air conditioning. They just want an ice cold glass of water. And so she was like, we should offer free ice water, put signs out on the highway. So she gets up from her nap and tells him, hey, I couldn't sleep. This is why I just had this great idea. And he was like, I don't think it's going to work, but, I'll go ahead and try anything at this point. She had a little poem that she had in mind. So they create signs like the Burma shave signs for the Route 66. And so it's just multiple signs that are spaced out apart. And basically at the end of it, it lets you know, stop into Wall Drug for free ice water. Again, 1930s, no air conditioning. That sounds like the most refreshing thing on the planet. By the time he had finished putting up the last sign, he gets back to Wall Drug, to their store, and it's packed with people coming in for ice water.
Hi, we're James and Kara, and this is Kerouacs Cruising.
We are two ordinary people exploring what it means to build a life that feels true, day by day, from one campfire to the next.
This is our adventure, and we're glad you're part of it.
Good morning, friends.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are in
South Dakota.
South Dakota.
We're in the
Black Hill Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, it's June something, and it's pretty cold out. Last night, the low was 42. So anyways, we've been around South Dakota, coming from Iowa, and we were in Badlands National Park, and it was pretty cool. We got to camp at Nomad Lane. I think we talked about it.
A little bit, yeah.
And we explored and did pretty much everything there is to do in Badlands.
He says that, but we only checked out half of the national park and not even the whole part of that. So Badlands is two portions. There's a north portion and a south portion. The north portion is federal land. The south portion is native land. We didn't go to the south portion. And then we were going to do a loop, and we turned a little too soon and ended up cutting that loop in half. And so only did the eastern part of the north portion, right?
We did the main.
We did the
like
main part. Two-thirds.
We missed Age Creek Road.
Okay. And
that wasn't funny.
Oh, Sage. So that's funny. So as a little background for that joke that James just threw out there. So his hearing isn't what it used to be. And so he doesn't catch all letters all the time. And so
I'm deaf completely on my right ear.
and
when you're driving, so it's not the
the ear that's on my side that he can't really hear out of.
My right
and
ear,
so
I'm deaf.
he kept asking me what the road was that he was supposed to turn on. And I kept saying Sage Creek, Sage Creek, Sage Creek, but he kept hearing Age Creek. And he's like, no, that's not it. I'm like, I'm looking at it. It's Sage Creek. And he's like, no, that's not it. And I'm like, it is. It's Sage Creek. And he's like, why do you keep saying Age? It's not Age Creek. And I'm like, oh my God. So that's been the ongoing joke.
After all that, we still turned down
the wrong road.
But I don't think we missed anything.
No, it was beautiful. We saw lots of prairie dogs, which is kind of almost the gimmick there, which was fun. They were running around all over the place. It was cool. Badlands was otherworldly.
It's a lot like the Badlands in Death Valley.
Yes.
Except you have prairie.
Yeah.
So instead of having straight just desert landscape, nothing, you go to prairie to straight rock formations.
Mm-hmm. And it's always cool to see the bison.
We've seen a bunch of bison. We've seen there's deer everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
antelope.
A lot. We didn't record it, but we were at our campsite and there was an antelope laying in the grass, and Norman scared it up. And Norman chased that thing
beyond what we could see.
Yeah, a mile down the road. He's chasing the pronghorn. It was pretty cool. But Badlands, I mean, it was It was what was the best part about Badlands? What do you think?
I thought it was cool to realize how old, the layers are. So if I can kind of disseminate the science that I learned about it. So over hundreds of millions of years, most of these layers had stacked up, and major flooding coming from where we're at now, actually the Black Hills in western South Dakota, actually over millions of years, had flooded out and washed away a lot of the sediment, but not all of the sediment. So it's created these really incredible rock formations and spires and mountains, essentially, that are striated, where you can see all of these different layers of the sediment. It's all exposed. So it's, from the ice age all the way up and through. So it's really cool to see. I mean, some of the stuff was just gray and pink, which was still beautiful. And some of it was like a golden yellow and like a deep mauve. It was really beautiful. It was not what I expected. It was way more vast than I expected.
It was huge.
And, it was just really awe-inspiring because it's just one of those places, it's not as deep and large as the Grand Canyon as far as standing on the edge looking down in. I mean, as far as vastness, it probably is as much square footage or square acreage, whatever it would be, but it's still like gives you that moment of like feeling small almost, like, because it's just so, not only is it so big and deep and wide and just intense, but it's also that vastness of time that you're witnessing. It's like we're really only here for such a sprinkle, even as a human race here for just a tiny sprinkle of time in what you're witnessing in these layers of rock. So it's deep and profound when you think of it as more than just pretty rocks. I guess that was my favorite part of it, to answer your question more directly. What about you?
I mean, it goes back to craziness that we as, I guess, white people took over that land from the Lakota Native Americans and gave it to them and then bought it back from them. It went back and forth.
I don't know if we ever bought it back.
Oh, not
stole
bought
it back.
Just stole it. And that stuff just is crazy to me. Yeah. So I couldn't even imagine living in the 1800s. When they talk about the 1800s and all the history, to me it's like unfathomable to live back then.
Yeah, especially in the plains area, because it's not only, there's very little trees, so there's not much of a windbreak or shade, and it's intense sunshine, especially this time of the year. We're coming into this summer solstice, so it's, you're coming into your longest days of the year, but it's, unpredictable droughts. Sometimes it's wet and it's great and you got wildflowers and it's all green. And then what was it, the 1930s with the Great Depression was also the Dust Bowl. So it just really is devastating.
They tried to homestead that area and it just did not work.
No, yeah. It's rough. It's rough.
So it was like going back in time. I love going to any national park. Yeah. Just seeing all the history is amazing. Mm-hmm. So that said, heading to Badlands from, I guess we were in Minnesota. Yeah. So we had camped in Minnesota, and we're coming across the 90, and we keep seeing these signs, right?
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about it in the dog episode, our dog tips episode. Oh, okay. We kept seeing those signs, yeah.
So we keep seeing, wall drug. Everything you want is at Wall Drug. That's what it kept saying.
So Wall Drug and Firehouse Brewery. We kept seeing Firehouse Brewery too.
But Wall Drug was first. So we're going and it's Wall Drug.
And I
Shooting
think
range at Wall Drug
might have even started back in Iowa. When we got north of Cedar Rapids, I think we started seeing signs for Wall Drug. I think it started the day before for us.
So Wall Drug is like every national park has a little town outside of it. And Wall Drug is that. And it was funny because some of the signs would be like, Wall Drug, free ice water. We're like,
what?
5 cents coffee. Shooting range, drugstore, memorabilia, pizza,
Splash pad,
ice cream, splash pad.
We're like, how big is this
I'm like, this
place?
thing's got to be 100 acres big. If you've driven on, I don't even know what the road is now, 95, heading through North Carolina, heading to South Carolina, and you just keep seeing the billboards. 200 miles to south of the border, 100 miles south of the border. It was like that for Wall Drug. So if you've ever been to the border of South Carolina and North Carolina, you get there after seeing all these billboards, and it was a big fat... but Wall Drug was cool.
Yeah, it was a cool spot. It was mostly a gift shop, or a large
Eatery,
multi-gift shop.
530 seats.
Yeah, for their little cafe.
For their restaurant.
We had dinner there. I think we each had a bison burger. You had their onion rings. It was fine. It wasn't like anything to write home about, but it wasn't, the worst.
It wasn't bad.
It
was fresh food.
And it was cheap. It was very inexpensive. Not cheap quality, but inexpensive. It felt like a fair price for a tourist, quote unquote, tourist trap. We got a gift for the baby Marcus, so it was cool to check out. You could spend hours walking through the place. There were
huge.
so
the
many different little shops, and
they had fudge shop, ice cream shop.
Yeah,
we
got ice cream too. That's right.
I'm trying to think of all the other shops.
We didn't even make it because they started closing.
Yep,
we didn't even make it. They had an outdoor area that we didn't even go check out. So if you're in South Dakota, you keep seeing the signs for Wall Drug. You're worried that it's going to be one of those stupid tourist traps. One of the ones we saw was the largest groundhog or prairie dog, like a 6-ton prairie dog, like stupid things like that. There's stupid stuff like the largest.
And out there is
corn.
like big statues.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. It's a cool destination. It's got a lot of unique art, and the story behind it was cool. I read into the history of it while we were sitting there waiting for our food. It's just, a homegrown place.
So how it got
idea.
She's not even saying the whole story.
I guess, yeah.
How it got so big is during the Depression, right?
Yeah.
They were trying to grow their business, and the lady, right, you tell it, because the lady had an epiphany.
Yeah, so he had just gotten his pharmacist license, and they didn't know where they were going to go. They had an epiphany to move to Wall, South Dakota. The family told them they were crazy. There's nothing in Wall. It's what they call it, a godforsaken town. And so whatever, they prayed about it and finally decided that's where they're supposed to go. So they do, and they open a pharmacy there, and they're just barely making it. They're just like, they're living, they're surviving, but they're not thriving. And so they set a timeline. He sets a timeline. The wife's like, it'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. We'll figure it out. No big deal. And he's like, if this isn't happening in 5 years, we're going to be figuring something else out. And it was like something like 3 months before their 5-year mark. She went to go put the kids down for a nap and go ahead and take advantage of a nap herself. The store was slow enough. He could manage it himself. And so she went to go lay down, but she couldn't sleep. She had this idea. It's 90 degrees outside in the middle of the summer. People driving through the highway in the 1930s, they don't really have air conditioning. They just want an ice cold glass of water. And so she was like, we should offer free ice water, put signs out on the highway. So she gets up from her nap and tells him, hey, I couldn't sleep. This is why I just had this great idea. And he was like, I don't think it's going to work, but, I'll go ahead and try anything at this point. So they create signs. She had a little poem that she had in mind. So they create signs like the Burma Shave signs for the Route 66. And so it's just multiple signs that are spaced out apart. And basically at the end of it, it lets you know, stop into Wall Drug for free ice water. Again, 1930s, no air conditioning. That sounds like the most refreshing thing on the planet. By the time he had finished putting up the last sign, he gets back to Wall Drug, to their store, and it's packed with people coming in for ice water. And it was a hit. They never saw a slow day after that, and so the business just kept growing from there. They had already sold ice creams and other things, so their sales jumped by giving out free ice water. And they've never looked back. So it's a cool, like, homegrown story. Now it's like the third generation of the families running it. So it's
and
neat.
Guess what? They still give out free ice water.
They still give out free ice water
in these little mini cups.
It was so, because I'm just like, okay, free ice water. Like, being from Arizona, I don't know if it's the same all over the rest of the country, but like it's illegal not to give water. Like, so I'm like, free ice water? What do you mean? Isn't that illegal not to do it? So it was a little humorous, and it was enough to get us to go in and check it out.
We
And
went
then
and
learning
checked it
the
out.
story behind it, you learn that it's like their signature.
We literally spent 2 hours at that place.
We did, and it was a great time. So I definitely think, I mean, I feel like I'm talking more excitedly about it than I did Badlands. This was a very busy place with lots of things going on, you know, the kind of place that's got all kinds of stuff on the walls and just so much going on. And Badlands was more serene and
Laid
reflective.
back. Well, I mean, Badlands, we got a superior campsite.
Yes.
So if you ever go there, off-grid camping, free camping, whatever, dispersed camping, whatever you want to call it, was plentiful. We had a great spot. The dogs got to run around.
The cool thing about the camping on Nomad Lane is it's actually around the border of one of the upper ridges into the Badlands.
Oh, you see all the
territory.
Badlands right
So, like, we had a spot originally that we had picked out because it looked like that there wasn't any available, and we were literally like, you cross the dirt road and you're looking over the ridge,
over the canyon
into the Badlands, and then we scoped out the area a little bit more. This area was super packed with people, first of all, and it was super slanted, so we were doing some acrobatics to get the camper as level as possible, and it still wasn't super level. So then when we drove around without the camper, we found a better spot in the plains, in the flat area, but then we had to go, it was a little bit of a hike to get out to where the view actually was, but the plains were beautiful. The plains are plain, but they are beautiful when you take a moment to really look at them, because you have these tall, beautiful grasses, and it's almost always windy, and so you're watching these yellow
waves,
flower blooms and the random picks of color in random other flowers, and then the wind coming through those grasses looks like a wave going across. It really is just beautiful and serene to just sit out there, sip your coffee, and just watch the waves go across. It was
like,
really nice.
Sunrise was 5:08 or something. I got up one morning and sunrise was amazing.
Yeah, you said it was like I didn't get up. You said it was like a fire red.
Yeah.
Or pink, dark pink.
It was awesome. So we had a great camp spot there. That was probably the best thing about Badlands was the camp spot.
Yeah.
And the dogs got to roam around.
And they've been doing
chase
so good.
pronghorn.
So in Iowa, our friends had an acre of land, but their house is a little set back on the land, so their backyard is not quite, an acre, of course, and there's no fences. So we'd been training them on the beepers to kind of like, this is where you're allowed to go and what you're allowed to do. And then when we get to Badlands, we were a little bit nervous because they don't want you to destroy the prairie grass. It's still a very delicate ecosystem because the rains are inconsistent. And so you're only allowed to, there's just tiny little pull-offs off the side of the dirt road. So we're just right on the edge of the dirt road. But we really wanted the dogs to have freedom. They haven't had total freedom in 3 weeks. Yeah, since we left Arizona, frankly. So probably closer to 4 weeks. And so we really wanted them to be able to run around, but we were nervous about trusting them. They didn't even care about the traffic on the road. Bella used to be known for chasing cars, and I think a lot of it's come with her age. But they would hang out and watch the road, but they weren't trying to chase anything or bark at anything.
Cars.
And when they wanted to go explore, they went out into the field. I mean, Norman did chase the one pronghorn. Bella chased the first pronghorn. But so that was really great. And so now where we're at, and you'll have to hear more details about it in next week's episode, we'll go into the Black Hills.
The Black Hills, Mount Rushmore.
We're off of an ATV road. And same thing, we don't really have to worry about that.
Oh, we got a great spot here, too. Dispersed camping. We didn't get the spot we probably should have. We could have got a better spot here, but this was the spot that I chose, and we got here. There was
we didn't
nobody
know the
here.
Area or where we were going to
We would have
spend
went
time.
closer to Cluster State Park.
Yes. So we'll talk about that
Custer
next
State Park.
Yeah,
All
we'll talk
right.
about that next episode. I don't want to spoil, but one of the things I will say, since I brought up the ATVs, we understand that there was a rule just lifted in May that they're allowing, there was off-road vehicle restrictions in certain areas.
A lot of
for a
dispersed
long
camping
time.
areas were good for dispersed camping, but you couldn't ride dirt bikes side-by-sides, any OHV vehicle.
So we understand they've lifted that, and so just for those of you who aren't aware, that does mean a lot more noise potentially and traffic on what would normally be, you know, in your reviews when you're researching the places you want to go to, quiet, dispersed camping areas. We have camped in a lot of areas where we see that kind of traffic anyways. For the most part, in general, by the time, you know, right now it's getting pretty dark. By the time you get to this time of the day, it's quieting down for the most part anyways. But if you like to free range your dogs and stuff like that, it might be an extra thing to be cautious of if you haven't heard of it yet. It's brand new to us. We just found out about it like a week ago, and I think it happened over a month ago. So we have an experience from what we know, an uptick in it. I imagine this was always an ATV road. I don't think this would be new. We don't go to the same places over and over again typically to know if there's an uptick. I guess we'll find out in Idaho.
Because we go to Idaho every summer.
Yeah.
So we'll know if there is an uptick, especially on one of the spot we're trying to go to.
Yeah.
So.
And then other than that, our plans did change. I don't know if we mentioned in the previous episodes, we were originally going to stay 2 weeks in Iowa. We decided to stay an extra week in Iowa. And then plans changed for the event we were going to in Montana. So instead of waiting until the end of June before we head to Idaho, we're actually going almost 10 days earlier than we were going to go originally. So we are actually not spending much of any time in Montana at all. We're zipping right through.
Because we've been to Montana the last few years
and
a lot.
this is our first time to
And we hadn't checked out South Dakota. And I will tell you, South Dakota is beautiful.
Stupid beautiful.
Now, the east side of South Dakota was farmland. And what you expect, it's like Kansas, just a lot of open prairie. But when you get to the west side of South Dakota,
really
Rapid City. God, Rapid City,
this
Sturgis,
whole region,
this area here is awesome.
Yeah.
Really nice rolling hills, big ponderosa pine trees, really, really cool landscape.
So we will go into more details about that next week. I just realized we hadn't told you guys that our plans had changed.
We were supposed to be in Red Lodge, Montana for a week or two.
I think we had said we were going to spend 3 weeks in
3
Montana.
weeks, and then that didn't pan out.
Yeah, going to Yellowstone and Beartooth Pass and all that, and we changed our plans, which is par for the course for us. We have a tendency to change our plans, so we did, of course, and so we are winging it and enjoying South Dakota. So we will update you guys next week on Black Hills in that region of South Dakota.
Black Hills, Custer State Park, Mount Rushmore. Man, we got some good footage of all that area.
Yeah, so you'll have to stay tuned.
Thank you, Jamie, for giving us some good spots.
Yes, thank you, Jamie, absolutely. So otherwise, you guys stay tuned. If you are just listening to this episode, if you find this episode on YouTube, we've got some footage that we captured in Badlands where you can actually watch what we visited and what we saw if you're interested. Otherwise, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. We love you guys so much.
See you next time.